Are you a sex worker looking to build a new website or a website redesign? Then you'll want to consider Fox Digital. They did a fantastic job designing my website, Stripped by Sia. If you want your website done, mention that you're a listener of the show at foxdigital.design for 20% off. Tell them I sent ya. Welcome back to another episode of Stripped by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. My name is Steph, aka Sia. Steph Sia is actually my legal name. I am the host of the show. I am the producer, editor, person, does all the things. This is my baby. This show is all about destigmatizing sex work because I am a sex worker, have been for a whopping decade now at this point. Started off as a sugar baby 10 years ago, kind of veered off into dancing, which I'm still doing currently, and I'm also a digital content creator. In fact, if you are in the Vancouver area, you can check me out this week. I will be back from my dancing hiatus. I'll be back at Shaker's Show Lounge in Surrey. If you want to come chat with me about the show or just shoot the shit, I'm going to be there Tuesday to Saturday, so feel free to come on down. And also, if you are in Vancouver again, the following weekend, I will be, following weekend, first weekend of February 3 to 5, I will be at the Tabby, oh my gosh, I can't talk today, Taboo Naughty But Nice sex show at the Vancouver Convention Center. I'll be there performing on the main stage. Showtime is to be announced, as well as the Ava Fitness booth. So again, if you want to come say hi, take pictures, get some of my new little cards I'll be handing out for people, feel free to check that out. I will be there for all the in-person things. For everything else online, you can just Google. Lots of my links are everywhere, and I do a lot of naked things, as a lot of people listening to the show and who I bring onto the show also do. I would like to quickly say hello to my lovely Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It's been just over a year, and I'm still surprised that people are subscribing and find value in all the really cool things that I do behind the scenes for the show and for everyone listening. There is a lot of work that does go behind it all, and I am a one-person show that is doing the whole thing. So really, really happy with your lovely subscriptions, all the feedback and everything you've given me. And of course, there's lots of people on the second and third tier that do get some little fan recognition shout outs. So just want to say hello to Trey Lanti, who's new. Same with Earl Kwan, Marty Lang, Selena Money, all brand new. Ted McGuire, we got Justin Erickson, Jay Sunstern, Urup Sarkar, and Snoo Stew. Thank you so much, peoples, for your support. Seriously, did not expect to be here and ever have a Patreon, but thank you again. If you're interested, check out the link. It's for the low price of $4 and goes up from there. It's patreon.com/strippedbysia if you're looking on supporting the show. Usually goes towards my website maintenance costs. So yeah. Also, there's Skyhawk After Dark TV. It is a adult network of video casts, as well as other adult podcasts similar to mine that are up on there. Lots of great people that have also been on the show and have their own shows too. So feel free to give them a peep. It is skyhawkafterdarktv.com. And last but not least, my sponsor, we have Fox Digital. They have made my lovely website. And I know all last year was like, my website will be up at some point, and it finally is. So please take a look at that, especially if you're somebody that are listening or who wants to be on the show. My form is on there. I will ask you all the questions, all the things that I need for you to pitch yourself succinctly, because there's a lot of pitches that come into my inbox. So go check it out. And if you are interested in getting a website made, be sure to check out foxdigital.design and ask Anthony for a lovely 20% discount, which is what he's giving to all Strip by Sia listeners. So be sure to give him a shout out. It's foxdigital.design. Okay, got that under 5 minutes this time. I think I was rambling on a bit too much today, but I am going to stop talking really soon because I am finally bringing on today's guest, which I'm really excited that we were able to connect. And because this is something that I think a lot of sex workers need to know about. It is a wonderful resource. If you don't know what I am alluding to, it's Sex Worker Rolodex, SW Rolodex. It is a wonderful marketplace, a platform for sex workers to find professional resources and services that are easily found on the interwebs, but might be a lot more difficult or challenging because of our like professions as sex workers. There's a lot of like mistrust. There's a lot of people who are pretending to be people or offering services that might not be great, that aren't vetted, etc. The list goes on, which we will discuss during the show. But I am bringing on the new owner of SW Rolodex onto the show, and she goes by the name Merrick Monroe, and she is not only the owner of Sex Work Rolodex, but also an entrepreneur, a digital content creator as well. Person does a lot of things, which I'm sure we're going to go all over in the next like 20 minutes or so. But just want to give her a warm welcome to the show. Hello, Merrick.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me as a guest today. I'm very excited.
I'm also really excited, and I'm stoked to have you on. I really, as I said earlier, believe that this is a great tool for sex workers because there's so many times I'm on Twitter or like my Facebook groups that people are looking for X or people. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. Can anyone recommend anyone for this? And I'm like, are you not on SW Rolodex? Like, hello, this is like what you need. So we're definitely going to be talking about that platform, talking about you, talking about the future of SW Rolodex and where you want to go, etc. But before we dive into all the craziness of that, I'd love it to. I cannot speak today. I would love for you to perhaps define yourself in your own words and terms, because I just feel like I know a little bit about you, and I know we're going to go into details about it, but if you want to give the audience a quick rundown on who you are in your own words and terms, I'd love for you to do so.
For sure. I I'm an active online sex worker, so I focus on producing and distributing digital content. I started in sex work in 2004 actually and have been in and out of it over that time. So I started in camming. Actually, sort of I would say I started as a sex blogger and then yeah, this was like that's how long ago it was. Like there were blogs and that was a thing people did. So I started as a sex blogger and then I transitioned that into doing live cam shows and that kind of escalated over time. I used to host my own pay site, my own subscription based pay site before there were platforms that make that so much easier for us. Um, and then so that's primarily my focus. I've done in-person work. I've done consulting for other sex workers. I think one of the few things I haven't done is actually live stripping and dance performance because I have terrible knees. So I don't have the athletic prowess for that. And props to those of you who do. It's completely commendable.
Well, you know what? I feel like a lot of sex workers within our community, we have done a lot of the things and we have checked so many different boxes, and we're like serial multitaskers and very, very multi talented like yourself. So,
Well, and you try out different avenues to see where your skills fit, see where you're having the most fun, and see what's making you the most money. Because sometimes this one realm, maybe cams are doing really well for you in the middle of the summer, and they aren't going as well during the winter, and so you switch over to content creation. So it's good to have that flexibility. It's good to try out different things, and I've definitely run the gamut over the years.
Definitely. And we'll definitely hear a lot more about like your life in detail very shortly. But I mean, I cannot wait to talk about sex work Rolodex as well. Can you just quickly, before we get started into your life and everything, do you want to just quickly do a little rundown on what that is for those who might not know? I know I did like a really brief intro, but maybe I butchered it. So
No, you did great.
thanks.
It's it's a simple premise that feels complicated, but it's very straightforward and it's very accessible. SW Rolodex is an online marketplace where content creators, where sex workers, whatever industry name you go under, you can come into this space, and it's a marketplace for people to find safer professional resources. And I say safer because each freelancer who has listed their work skills on the Rolodex, I or the original owner, Dalma, went through and verified that this person does the job that they are offering, that they have experience in that realm, and that they are going to be somebody who is understanding and accommodating of the more specialized needs and concerns of sex workers. So you can go in and, you need a tip menu for your platform site, and you can find a graphic designer to make you a tip menu, and you just give them the info and they create that graphic for you. You can find people to edit your video content, because like editing video is one of my least favorite things to do myself. It's like folding laundry. I can't pay somebody, I mean, I could pay somebody to fold my laundry. I don't. But I can pay somebody to edit my videos, right? And it helps offset um, the skills that maybe you don't have or you don't feel really strong with yet. It gives you more time during your day to focus on the work that you do enjoy doing. It's a really, for me, even like I used the site before I owned it. So I'm also a customer, and it's such a valuable resource for growing your business, really. That's what it's about.
Absolutely, and optimizing your business too, because like I mean, it's really hard for people to do everything all at once, and there
There's
is
too
a
many
lot.
hats.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
there's not enough time today.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I tweeted that earlier. I was like, "There's just not enough time."
I did see that earlier actually on your Twitter, and I'm just like, oh, I'm like giving a nervous schedule. I'm like, what's going
No,
on?
no, no. It's just been one of those weeks. Everything's happening, which is great. I love it. I love it when everything happens, but can we spread it out? No.
No, I'm with you with that one. This has been such a busy start to the year, which I'm very thankful for. But it's also like, oh my gosh, I literally need probably another 6 hours in a day to fit everything in. But we're not talking about time scheduling or time management. We are talking about you, and I would really love for the audience to get to know you a bit more and to get better acquainted with you. So I know the audience is always really curious, and also myself included, in terms of like how you got started in sex work. Because I know you kind of mentioned camming, but then you also went back and said actually sex work blogging. So I'm interested to hear your story. And if you want to start there, that's cool. If you want to start earlier, it's up to you.
So I got into online, I just consider it like online sexuality. When I was a sex blogger, it was not revenue producing in the least. It was just an outlet for me. It was a creative outlet for me to write about myself and my life, and like just be horny on the internet. Sometimes I included pictures, mostly it was text. Sometimes it was like anecdotal or creative writing, or like, hey, this funny situation happened to me. I was a very early adopter in my life of internet culture. So I've grown up with computers, and I've grown up on the internet, for better or worse. Um, and I remember when I was still in high school, that's when a lot of the really popular alternative model sites started popping up. I won't list them. We know what they are. We know what the alt girl photo sites are.
Yes.
Um, but I was completely enraptured with that concept. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be that. I want to be a sexy alt chick on the internet. And it was like, I was 18 and I had a belly button piercing and a hip tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, I'm alternative. Um,
We all gotta start
we've
from
grown from there.
Merrick. Yes.
What? So, so I just casually started with the writing stuff, with the blogging, and I was doing civilian work at the time, and it hit a point where I got fired from my job. I was working in an optometrist's office because office work is easy. I got fired from that job, and I needed a job to pay my rent. And I there was a local weekly newspaper that had an assortment of ads in the back of the newspaper, and I responded to one of those ads for live cam girls. And this was 2004, 2005. And the technology was a lot different back then, both in terms of my side, the equipment that I had to produce live streaming content, and in terms of what the internet could do, like what websites could do and be. So when I started camming, uh, I had a woman who basically was a house mom who organized all of the girls in our region. And she came to my apartment and she gave me a TV card to put in my computer and a camcorder,
Oh
like
my
a whole ass camcorder, like not a little handheld pocket thing, like the whole ass camcorder.
Oh my
And it
god.
came with a remote and a bunch of cords. So I put the TV card in my computer, plugged the camcorder into it, and that's how I streamed, because webcams weren't as accessible and they weren't as quality at the
Oh my
time.
gosh.
And it was I don't think the website exists anymore, so I'll go ahead and name it. It was horrible. Um it was called Naughty Girls Live.
Of course.
And it was just one of those sites where you just go through and you scroll through pages of girls that are like XXX Holly XXX and
Mhm.
Athena Step on You 24. And it was just like, okay, so that's what I did. Definitely paid my rent. It was fun. I had the existing blog. Social media didn't exist the same. Like, we had MySpace then. Um, so I had an amount of built-in customer base that followed me over into my cam work, and that was cool. I even still know some of those people from 20 years ago, which is a wild and amazing, and I'm so thankful to have them in my
Wow.
life.
That's wow.
Um,
Crazy.
yeah. So I did that for off and on for a while. That transitioned into doing more modeling work. Uh, Again, for better or for worse, because the DIY independent modeling industry back in the mid 2000s was super sketchy.
Yeah.
So that was, I had experiences, not all positive, but I learned a lot, both about modeling and about producing content and how to interact with people during photo shoots. So that then curtailed into running my own website, uh, my own like subscription based pay site. And I have experience of building websites on my own just from way back in the day, high school classes, building HTML basic sites. MySpace era kids, we could customize the HTML of our MySpace profiles and stuff. So I
Yeah.
had all the web design experience, and I just needed to throw that into building a website. I did like the CC bill integration and managed that full top to bottom management of my own site. It's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I tinkered around with that here and there, but I was just getting bored with it. I wasn't feeling satisfied with my online sex work. It was neither generating the income I wanted, nor providing the interactions that I enjoy. So around the time that Twitter was really taking off, because I've been on Twitter the whole time too, um, Twitter started taking off, but it wasn't sex work friendly quite the same. Our culture did not have the same community acceptance of sex work that we do now. Not
Mhm.
all regions, obviously, and not all communities are accepting of sex work, but
Right.
uh it's grown a lot, and it's really nice to see how understanding people are now of the whole concept of sex work is work
Yeah.
and allyship for sex workers. So different era back then, and it wasn't doing it for me. So I just went back into civilian work, focused mostly on retail because that's what I have experience in, and have done, I've done business management, retail shop management. I Speaking of wearing all the hats, I used to create, design jewelry and make home decor, and I sold crafts at open air crafts markets,
Wow.
and like boutiques, sort of a thing. So my civilian work too has been as all over the map as my sex work has been, and I just pick and pull from different aspects of each industry that I have enjoyed or that I've excelled in, and I pull that all into a single umbrella now as both a sex work content creator and administrator for the Rolodex. So
Damn.
it's just all over the map. It's really hard for me. Like, if I wrote it all down, it would just be the most random list of skills and experiences because I like learning, and I like learning by doing things. Sitting in a classroom teaches you so much. You learn so much more by going out into the world and trying things.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I've noticed in recent years, like over the past 5 years, it's such a joke. Initially the joke was like, oh, maybe I'll start a podcast. Like, y'all
Hmm.
don't know how much effort podcasts take to put together. I have run a podcast myself. I was telling you this before we started recording. I've done that because people were like, oh, I love what you're doing here. Why don't you turn it into a podcast? So I did that, and it was a lot of work, and I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. So props to anyone that can keep a podcast going for over a year because it's work. And now that maybe I'll start a podcast, her joke has turned into maybe I'll start an OnlyFans and sell feet pics, her. And
Oh,
it's the same
yes,
damn thing.
it is.
Like,
Yeah.
it's more work, and you're really shitting on people who know how to do that work well because you think it's easy, and it's not easy. They make it look easy because they have skills.
Yes.
Huge difference.
Huge difference. And we've definitely said that on the podcast too. It's just like it's very exhausting to hear comments like this, and it's not like these comments are slowing down, unfortunately. I just feel like with OnlyFans and other pay sites and stuff being so commonplace now, like it's just now we're just hearing about it a lot more in terms of like, oh, maybe I should start this. Like the number of times I have to hear that when I'm teaching at the pole dance studio that I teach at, or like questions like, oh, like I'm really interested in getting into stripping and stuff. Like I know how to pole dance now. Like maybe it's going to be easier. I'm like, you have much to learn.
Yeah, I mean, it seems easy. You do the skill, you do the motion, and that's maybe a quarter of it.
Hmm.
There's there's the interpersonal skills of customer service and customer relationships. There's selling and marketing. There's
Yeah.
administrative work. Like, I've heard people talk about how running an OnlyFans is basically you just wake up and suck and fuck your partner all day on camera, and you don't have a choice to have sex for yourself anymore because you have to record every waking moment of your life to sell it. And that's all OnlyFans is. And it's just a drain on your sexuality. And it's like, I'm really sorry you think that that's what it is because that sounds really bleak. And
Mm-hmm.
there are people that approach it that way, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's your choice.
Yeah, definitely. And you definitely have a choice with how you treat that, because you have to have some kind of like business acumen and like some work boundaries in place, which some people don't. And they
Yeah.
just think it's just, well, it can be work 24/7. A lot of it can be work 24/7, but you need to kind of like put your foot down and be like, okay, like I'm going to stop this now, or like only going to dedicate this amount of time for this. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's exhausting at times to deal with those kind of comments. But going back to what you were saying too, like being like kind of like a Jill of all trades, it sounds like. And of course, like as mentioned, sex workers are very, very multifaceted. We do a lot of things, but I really feel like a lot of your experience has really like lent into itself and kind of helped you get to the next step, like with your sex work
Very much so.
blogging. Yeah, like you're blogging and you're camming. You're already starting to gain fans and clientele from there to help like follow you to your website and people that you've still kept in touch with after all these years. And with that relationship building and that relationship management, I feel like that all of that has kind of helped you get to where you are with your entrepreneurial journey. And then also getting to where you are now with SW Rolodex. I would really love to hear how you heard about the Rolodex, because I also heard about the Rolodex too. I used to listen to Dalma Rosa's penny selling podcast, penny selling school that she used to have as well. She was a guest back in, I should know this, but I want to say season 3 of the podcast, many episodes, many moons ago. Go listen to it if you're ever looking to sell anything. I would love to hear how you stumbled upon that.
I literally stumbled upon it. Yeah. I think through Twitter, probably. Twitter is such a wonderful marketing resource for sex workers and for sex work related businesses. It's very frustrating to say this with how the platform has been over the past 6 months, but I feel like it is one of the last outlets that we have for open and free communication within our community.
Yes.
Um, and so it's done a lot of really good stuff for me. It's connected me with amazing people like yourself. So I heard about the Rolodex through Twitter, and I don't remember who it was. Somebody posted about, I think it was video editing, that they hate doing their videos, and they found an editor on this site. And I was like, I hate editing my videos. Let's take a look. And that's kind of, I found out about it. I scrolled through the job listings available, the type of work that people had on offer through the Rolodex. And, I've taken advantage of a few different uh, freelancers through the website, their skills and services. I've done Reddit management. I've had people edit my videos. I've had people do some like content marketing writing for me for just when I had a brain block. Like sometimes you have something that you really want to say and you want to get out there and you can't wrap your head around the right way to say it,
Mhm.
and 2 brains are better than 1. So I took my concept and I was like, "Hey, here's what I have and I'm struggling with it. What can you do with this?" And that person came back to me with some really great feedback and really great uh copy that they delivered for me to use. And even just working through the Rolodex for that one experience taught me about improving my own copywriting skills. So I learned by being a customer, and used the site off and on for about a year. It was founded in early 2021 by Dalma, and I was just checking in on things, and I'd pop in when I'd need something specific done. And then I saw her post on Twitter, or on Instagram actually, that she was moving away from managing that site and was looking for somebody to take it over. Uh, and I
Oh,
was Yeah. So I
yeah.
was in the position at the time that I was kind of doing a lot of consulting work for people that were interested in starting an OnlyFans or getting into sex work themselves. And it's a lot of effort to say the same stuff to a new person every week. And so I was looking into forming like it's the same advice that I give to every single person. I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. So I at the time had been considering putting together like a mentorship program or a guidebook. I know there's a million of them, but I know that there are also people that have been coming to me directly. And so clearly there's a market for me specifically to dispense that information.
Mhm.
Instead, I ended up talking with Dalma, who was seeking somebody who was not only either an active or a retired sex worker, but had an understanding of where the sex work industry is now and what challenges it faces, and is able to take on that role of mentorship. Dalma is an amazing mentor for the community, and she has provided so many valuable resources, from her digital ebooks that you can download for doing stuff to like her Discord channel. If you buy an
Hmm.
ebook, you get access to her Discord. 100% recommend. She's an absolute gem. Um, and
High
we
praise.
had a go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just high praise for Dama all around. She's just so amazing.
Yes, I couldn't stop. So we had a long conversation about like who I am, what I would bring to the site, and what I would do with it. And it was about a month of negotiations, and she decided like, okay, you're gonna be it. You're my guy. So that was a big win for me personally. I felt really validated.
Hmm.
Um, I have joked in recent months that I had to quit all of my jobs in male dominated capitalism and buy a business focused on sex work to achieve any amount of recognition for the actual skills and experiences that I have as a professional. Because
Wow.
moving around in the civilian work, it feels like I was always one step below a man who I was literally on the same level of, but he was too worried about remaining in control of his domain to
Mm,
allow me to be a good employee, to allow me to be a good manager, to allow me to be a good partner, that I never got anywhere working in these civilian realms. And it's
true.
frustrating and
Very.
defeating to be constantly climbing up a ladder that it's not a glass ceiling, it's just an eternal ladder that I was just constantly climbing up. And it was boring and not fulfilling. So taking on the Rolodex for me has been a great opportunity to go like, yes, I have always wanted to be involved in sex work, in sexy content in any form. I love the people, I love the community, and here is my opportunity to take those skills that I have fought tooth and claw for in civilian business realms and pull it into this industry so that I can help other people who have had that same fight. And just, sometimes you just need somebody else to be like, hey, you're doing the work. It is work. You're doing a good job. Here's one thing that you need, and it will help. And sometimes you just need that one thing. And you're like, you know what? Yes, I too am doing the right thing. So I was really thankful for her to believe in me, to grant me ownership of the Rolodex. Like, yeah, I bought it from her, but she still like, she chose, she saw something in me and she was like, okay, you can do this. And so I'll forever be grateful to her for that.
Wow.
Yeah, rambling, I'm sorry.
No, that's such an amazing story. Because I was like, well, I was listening to the podcast when she was kind of like talking about like, oh yeah, I'm moving away from this, I'm looking for a new owner, and I was on there as well, and I was like, I wonder who's going to take it over, and like, I'm just wondering what's going to happen to the Rolodex now. But like, I mean, later, a year and a bit later, here we are. And you've done some great changes to the site as well. And we're definitely going to be speaking about current and future goals for the Rolodex later on in the show. But maybe we'll just kind of go into a brief little rundown too, in terms of like what kind of services are being offered on the Rolodex if someone were to sign up, and what is that sign up process like?
So signing up on the Rolodex is completely free, regardless of whether you plan to offer work as a freelancer or if you are somebody who is seeking resources and contract work from others. Um, I will always do as much as I can to keep the site free for the sex workers that come to the site to use its services, because I don't want to gatekeep. I don't want there to be an extra gateway. Like, nobody needs that.
No.
So free as much as possible. Um, and I try to keep as much money as possible going to the freelancers themselves. It's, I mean, if you come in as basically as a buyer, we're not used to, as sex workers, we're not used to calling ourselves buyers.
I know.
We're used to calling ourselves sellers, but in the context of the Rolodex, we're the buyer, we're the client, we're the customer. And you come in, you sign up, and you just shop around. You shop a marketplace. There's tags, like keyword tags, there's categories. You can browse around, you can do a quick search. Like I like using tip menus as a really accessible example, because everyone needs a tip menu for something. Put it on your
Mhm.
platform, put it on your cam site, like you do a
Yes.
screen overlay of your tip menu, put it on your Twitter as your pin post. Like tip menus, they're great. So you come into the Rolodex and you need a new tip menu. You can go and search under graphic design to see what kind of graphic designs are on offer. You can just do a search on the site for tip menu and see what comes up. Thankfully, there is a lot of freelancers offering a whole range of services, like too many for me to list individually. I was typing something out the other day, and it's like, tip menu designers, banner designers, profile pictures, photo editing, photo effects, video editing, video teasers, GIF making. Like it's like a game of telephone. You just keep, or word association. Like, how long can you keep it going? Somebody's offering it. Um, And there's a lot of freelancers offering very similar skills through the site, which is a benefit to you as a buyer, because then you get to find somebody that's the best match for either your graphic style or your price range. Maybe you have $10 for a tip menu. Maybe you want somebody to make you a whole bunch of menus for $50. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you as a buyer can utilize the site's resources and how you can interact with the freelancers, because we have live chat, we have messaging. You can just buy a job and then communicate with the seller, with the freelancer, about the work that needs to be done. So it's very versatile. It depends on how you approach it and how you like to negotiate business. As a freelancer, when you go to list your first job, basically you submit the job and it goes into drafts, and I get a notification. So and so has submitted their new job for tip menu design. And I go and I look at the job and I'm like, yes, this person seems to understand how to design a tip menu. And then the extra curation of it starts, because then I go, well, who is this person offering to design tip menus? Why does this person want access to sex workers? So maybe like if they've added their Twitter to their profile, I can go and look at their Twitter and be like, okay, yes, this person is definitely themselves a sex worker who does great graphic design. And so they're offering tip menus to other sex workers. Cool. Or maybe it's just a graphic designer. Like they work at a normal ad agency and they're like, I love sex workers. I want to support sex workers. Here's one thing I can do to support them. So it can be either way. And I just try to go through, I use any links that have been provided or like social media references. And I just try to confirm that this person is going to be a safer person for a sex worker to work with, that they're not coming in trying to get free pics, sort of a thing, or get you to send your private information or anything. These are real people. And, a good portion of the time, I also do like a two-factor authentication where if somebody has posted a link to their Twitter, I DM them and I'm like, hey, this person has created a job on the Rolodex and they included this Twitter account under their profile. Can you confirm for me that this was indeed you that created the profile and not somebody that's using your social media clout to catfish potential clients? And
Right.
a lot of times people are like, I never thought of that. Yeah, it's me. Thanks for checking.
I love that. Yeah, because I definitely want to ask about like the verification process and how do you vet for people and stuff too. Because I remember like because I am a freelancer on SW Rolodex as well, and I remember initially I think this was when Delma was still running the site. I remember it took at least a week for her to get back to me. So it was a really interesting process to be on that other side. But for those who are not on the website, um, because I really believe that safety is a huge thing for sex workers, especially within our community. Like we have a very, very guarded community just because there are a lot of untrustworthy people out there. And as you mentioned, for numerous reasons, people wanting to steal pics, catfishing, stealing content and whatnot. Like we have a reason to be guarded. So I was just wondering, like, in terms, because I wasn't sure if you were finished with the verification process, but just I'm really curious to hear more about safety precautions on the Rolodex.
For sure. Yeah. And it's since taking over the site, I think I actually like got full control of the website around March of 2022. Um, and security has been by far one of my top focuses over the past year, because it is so valuable, and I believe it is so important to be able to say, like, here's the deets of what I'm doing to keep y'all safe. Um, it's really a multi-part thing, the security element. I think it stops at the tart at the sorry, now I'm not speaking well. I think
Okay.
it starts at the top, with me being the person that is the owner and operator of the Rolodex, that I am a sex worker. So I understand inherently the the personal needs and the personal sense of security we need to be active on sites like this. Um, and I also have decades of experience in technology and web design, so I can apply that to more of the back end stuff that people don't think twice about. One of I think it's a great feature. It tends to flummox a lot of people, but our website actually has a really secure firewall. And if you enter your password wrong 3 times in a row, you get locked out.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes,
a
you're
lot of people seem to contact me thinking that this means the site is broken. And the site's not broken. The site is working as it's supposed to. Like, if you entered your password wrong 3 times in a bank trying to log into your online banking, you would get locked out for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
It's the same thing. It just makes sure that there's not somebody that's trying to hack into your account and try to gather up any personal assets that you've shared or posted through the Rolodex.
Hmm.
So we have a secure firewall program that yes, it can slow you down a little bit if you forget your password, but there's a forgot password link right there. You can reset it and you're back in half an hour, sort of a thing. So that's just that's just business on the internet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I also when I took over the site, I made sure that the server that I'm hosting it on is a secure virtual protected network. So it's the only website that's hosted on that server. It's self-contained. I liken it to, instead of living in a dorm where you're sharing, where there's like other people sleeping in the room with you and you share a bathroom, that's like public hosting where there's multiple websites on a server, and something that happens to another website could affect your website. One person clogs the toilet, nobody can use the toilet. With our server setup, it's more like you live in a house alone. There's nobody else there. You've got 2 bathrooms. You can use any toilet you want.
That's a really
So
great analogy.
maybe kind of crass, but it's accessible. So it's just to make sure that, like, I just don't want anyone else playing in the sandbox. I don't want them to look at it. I don't want them to think about it. I don't want any bot to think twice about trying to come into the website.
Hmm.
So that's the two main security elements that are in place, me and technology. There
Amazing.
is also the fact, like, as administrator of the site, I started using the term administratrix.
I saw that.
Um,
That's
I think
brilliant.
that's more fun than saying administrator. Like, that sounds like I have a pocket protector, which is a look, but administratrix is like so much more fun.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like
and I think suits everything a lot better.
it.
So, as the administratrix, I I do have full access to everything that goes on with the Rolodex. And yes, that means that I have access to the private messages that are exchanged between users, both just as like the general chats before work is done, and then I can also see the transaction conversations, like during the process of getting work done. I can see that message exchange. I see media that gets uploaded and exchanged between buyers and sellers. And part of the reason it's so valuable for a sex worker to be in control of a site like this is that you don't want random guys, random Joes sysadmins seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything with it. I don't want your content or your photos or your chats. I don't care. I just want to make sure that you're not in here harassing people. So I'll
Yes.
go through every few days and I'll just give a quick scroll through the chats and be like, okay, nobody's saying anything super crazy. Um, in the past, during Dalma's tenure, she did have to ban one person who was being a creep.
Oh.
So far, that's the only active ban was one person, and I've definitely reached out to people and I've been like, hey, the things you're messaging other users about, that's against our terms of service. Don't do that. Like I've had people come in and try to poach freelancers to their own network that they're
Oh.
trying to build, be like, oh, hey, I see you do this. I'm building a website. You should come over here. And then I message them. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, this
Yeah.
is a self contained network. Don't pull them away from this to
Yeah.
your little Hotmail hosted website or something. So it's good to have somebody that's providing that oversight, like fairy godmother vibes, just making sure everything's chill and on the up and up sort of a thing.
I
No
like
creepy
that.
behavior.
And
Yeah.
like that you people know it's you too because you had a whole blog post introducing yourself, and it's really good to put like a face to the name and to know like there's an actual human being behind this and who's looking out for us. So really, really, really appreciate that. Also wanted to go into like how does payment work for those who are not on the site or who might be interested? How does that work and how is it secure?
hmm Excellent, excellent question. So that is actually one of the best things about doing work through the Rolodex is that you're not handing money directly to another person. So if I come onto the Rolodex and I need that tip menu, I'm not cash apping some random freelancer that says that they'll make me a tip menu. I'm not cash apping them $20 and getting nothing in return. Basically, the Rolodex serves as the middleman, and we're kind of a clearinghouse. So I pay the site the stated amount for the job that I want done. And then the freelancer accepts the job. You have to go in and you say, yes, I'm going to do this job. Freelancer accepts the job. They do the work, they deliver it. Both parties mark that the job has been completed to their satisfaction. Everything's done. So after the job is completed and fulfilled, then there's a usual, platform clearing period of 7 days, and that money gets added to the freelancer's account. If something happens in that process, the job gets canceled, or maybe the freelancer never gets the message, or it's dead and they just decide, like, I'm not going to do this, that money goes back into your account. So there is an element where it's not being refunded immediately to like your bank account. It just sits on the website. Basically, it sits in my bank accounts that are under my name. So I'm on the hook for this money at this point. Any money that you've paid into the Rolodex, I'm on the hook for it. Um, once a freelancer has the funds available in their account, they can get a payout. Uh, right now, it's not an automated payout, so it's not the quick and easy process like Fansly or OnlyFans is. Unfortunately, that's one of my top goals for the year is clearing up that process, so it's a little less legwork for me and easier for the freelancers and site users to get their funds quickly in the way that they want. Right now, it's just that you send me an email and I'm like, do you want me to Cash App it to you? Do you want me to PayPal you? And then I just send you your money, adjust the site total. And it's very like, uh, I don't want to say it's DIY, but it's kind of got that vibe of it's like it's a lo-fi process right now, and I just need to spend that time and effort to continue improving it, which uh, automated payouts are one of my top goals in the coming year. So
Yeah. I mean, like we're already on the topic of goals for this year. Do you want to kind of go into that where you can envision the Rolodex to go?
yeah. Continuing to improve the security of the site, always continuing to improve the user experience and the navigation of it. One of the things I want to do is that I know for a new user coming into any platform, not just the Rolodex, not just OnlyFans, like you have a new subscriber paywall platform that you want to sell through, and it's confusing as fuck when you get in there. And or like campsites, I know there are campsites that have like super archaic interfaces,
Oh my
and you
gosh.
go in and you're just like, what do I click? What is this? Like it's not an iPhone. You have to interact with this weird website that makes sense to somebody that designed it, but it doesn't make sense to you. So I'm going to start making walkthrough videos of using the
Ooh.
site, so I can like record my screen as I use the site, and I can put my little face in the corner and just walk you through how to navigate the site, how to navigate the marketplace, how to navigate posting a job as a freelancer, how to utilize the dashboard and move from the front page into your profile, into the jobs that you currently are working with freelancers on, and how to interact there. So I'm going to be doing a lot more walkthrough and interactive type stuff just to help guide people. I get a lot of questions that, to me, aren't questions I would have thought of about how to use the site. And people are like, I'm so sorry, this has got to be a stupid question. It's not a stupid question. It doesn't make sense to you, and it's a reasonable question. So ask me questions. I love that. And that helps guide me in what needs to be improved. So I love all the stupid questions. Then I'll
Keep
make a video out of them and be like, you're not stupid. That's a valid question. It's confusing.
it I love that. It really shows that and demonstrates that you are really putting so much care into your baby, basically, and it really really shows. Like, and even just you here talking about everything, just it shows how much passion you have for this and how much you want to help our community. So I'm really stoked to hear and see more what's going to be happening in 2023 throughout the year. And I just want to say, like, as a freelancer that's been on Rolodex, who finally sold like my first service, which is video editing, which is super cool. And
Yeah.
which
Oh,
was,
so see, you know.
yeah, I know exactly what the process is, and it was really cool because it really like held me accountable too. Because like once I did had like I think it was like 24 hours to accept the job. I can accept the job, and then for whatever time limit that you put as advertised in your ad or whatever your service is that you're offering, there's like a timer, countdown timer, which I found was super cool. And for me, like I love deadlines. So it's like, okay, now I really got to get on this. Like this is like real, and it's not just like, okay, yeah, I'll do it later. So that really, like for me, helped keep me on track and within my goals. And I delivered within the day, which was really awesome.
Yay! Nicely done.
Yeah,
Nicely done.
it was
Yeah,
awesome, and even just like the back and forth messaging between the buyer and stuff too. It's pretty seamless as well. So kudos to you.
good. I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, it would be totally valid if you were like, I had this issue, but I don't know. If you had issues, you can like DM me after the show.
No, it was perfect.
We'll
It was
work it
super
out.
straightforward.
Good.
But I guess.
And that's
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, one of the things that I personally struggle with so much as a sex worker is the isolation. Um, I I work solo primarily. I'm at home all day with my pets and my speaker system, right? So it's just me, and I'm the only person that can provide myself accountability. And that makes some jobs really hard. Like the tasks you don't want to do makes it really hard. So working with a freelancer through the Rolodex, uh, just approaching them might give you a different perspective for your business, because talking about things makes you think about them in a different way rather than them just living in your head. Once you say it, you're like, oh, wait, I'm saying this, but now I'm thinking this other thing. So, working with other people can just be valuable for your time, for your energy, like your mentality for it. But then as a freelancer, like, yeah, you've got that clock. You've got that clock ticking. And hopefully it's not giving you anxiety. It's just there as a reminder. But
Yeah.
it's good to stay accountable. And I
Absolutely.
love accountability tools too. Because otherwise it's just me playing video games. So
Before we dive into the questions that came in from fans, I also forgot to ask you about site fees. what kind of breakdown or what kind of cut is taken from the jobs?
Hmm. Uh, so again, there's no site fees for buyers or people who are just creating an account to kind of preview everything before they're interacting with being a buyer or a seller. There's no fee for listing a job currently. That might change in the future, but right now it's free. And basically, the only fees that exist are when you sell a job, the site retains 15% of that job cost. So if your job is $10, that's what? That's like 250 that goes to the site? No, that would be 25%. So it'd be like a dollar 50. A
Yeah, I
dollar
was like,
50 of every $10.
math is
Look,
hard.
I'm 30. I'm not a mathematician.
Gotcha.
Yeah, math is hard. We have accountants on the site too. So if math is hard, you can find accountants through the Rolodex as well. Like, no shade, I get it.
You could literally find anything on the Rolodex, even like virtual assistants. Yeah, tons of graphic design, tons of video editing. Like those are really, really popular services that I found there. Copywriting, SEO, like anything that's on their website design. Like the list can go on and on. Just basically swrolodex.com. Check it out. People's it is super helpful and can definitely help transform your business. And I'm not saying that in a salesy way. I actually mean it because I'm on the site as well. So
Yeah.
FYI.
It gives you some breathing room. And I think that one of the most important things that we as professionals and that we as small business creators, small business entrepreneurs, however you want to look at it, like we're running a small business. It's one person, it's small, but it is a business. And the best thing that you can learn to do for yourself and for your business is delegate. Take that thing that you don't like to do and pay somebody else to do it. Create a budget that like you have a budget of expendable funds for your business to use as you see fit. So sometimes maybe those funds are going to go and in February, you're going to use them to buy an app for your phone to help with photo editing and like really level up your photo editing. And then the next month, you're going to use it to pay for an ad on a website, sort of a thing. And then the next month, you're going to use it to go into the Rolodex and commission a freelancer to do some kind of service for you that it improves your business. Like you want to pay a virtual assistant for a month to run your business. And it just gives you breathing room to know that you can trust this person to get the job done professionally and to your standards. And if it's not done to your standards, you have the right to communicate that to them and say like, "Hey, I need more of this, less of that," sort of a thing.
Exactly.
So, it's for you. It's for you. Delegate for you and for your business.
Yes. And that's such a great like takeaway from this episode too, because as small business owners, sometimes we just want to be able to do it all. But there, as we mentioned earlier in the beginning, we're like, well, there isn't enough time to do it all. There isn't enough energy or capacity to do it all. And sometimes we're just not even skilled enough to do it. So this is a really great opportunity for you to kind of take control and kind of treat yourself in terms of like, okay, we can delegate some of this and leave it to the experts.
Hmm. Like it's like cooking. Like, maybe you are a really great chef and you really like making a wide variety of food for yourself at home, and that's really validating for you. But you're not good at making lasagna. So maybe you just want to go to the Italian restaurant and get some lasagna to go and take it home and reheat it in your oven. That's fine. Nobody's going to knock you for that. And it's going to be delicious and you're going to be happy. So,
Love that.
yeah.
And love that
Work
analogy.
smarter, not harder.
Exactly. But there are a few questions that did come in from the audience. So I feel like at this point, this might be the time to go into some of those. So
There
this is,
is one other thing before we get
oh,
to the questions.
let's
I
do it.
remember that there's one other element of the Rolodex that I'm going to be working on improving over the coming months. Um, and I am very invested in expanding the Rolodex as just a resource for people. So not necessarily just the marketplace element, but adding in more static resources for people to have as reference points for things, to find further information to grow their business. So one of the biggest things that I get asked for is mental health services. And I can't provide mental health services through the Rolodex because of additional licensing and contracts and regulations regarding like HIPAA and stuff like that. Like there's too much, and unfortunately that can't run through the Rolodex. But I am definitely like, I want to make a resource page of mental health resources that are safer for sex workers, because that's something that we need definitely. And I am happy to just have that conversation with you one on one through DMs if you need some guidance in that. I've done that for several people, and I love that people come to me for that. I'm extremely thankful for that kind of trust. But it would be great to just have it sitting there, and you can pull it up whenever you need. I want to put together pages of like financial resources. So we do
Great.
have like accountants that offer guidebooks and planning services through the Rolodex, but it would just be nice to be able to go to their website, to their social media, and check out their education and their guidance, or other accounting firms that maybe they don't want to offer through the Rolodex, but they want you to know that they understand the intricacies of sex work and the hindrances that can come about through the current economic and financial banking systems, right? So stuff like that, just building in more static resources, a podcast roundup of sex work relevant podcasts and book recs and stuff like that. So I really just want to keep growing the Rolodex as a community resource, not just for stuff that costs money, but I want to build in resources that help you grow mentally as well. So that's on the way as well.
Okay, yeah, you definitely have to keep us posted when that's going to be up and running because I am here for anything that's accessible for people because sometimes money can really be a huge barrier for a lot of sex workers, right? So the more accessible and free resources that are there, I think that can be so helpful for a community. So
Mhm.
kudos to
And
you.
maybe you try that free resource. Maybe you try making your own tip menu on Canva because that's what everyone else uses. And you try it and you're like, I don't like this, but I tried it. You tried it and that's great. And that is so valuable that you tried a new skill. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. Come to us.
Exactly. um as mentioned, there are a few questions that had come from folks on Twitter. So I feel, yeah, it's probably time for us to go there. So this one came in, and this person had written in, have any services on the SW Rolodex surprised you? Do you ever tell fans that you run SW Rolodex?
Mm. The second question is the easy answer. I talk about the role. I talk about it frequently. I probably don't talk about it enough because every time I do post on my own pages about running the Rolodex, I have people being like, "I've never heard of this." Like, well, I've been talking about it for a year, but I get it. Like, social media happens fast, so uh, I do talk about it. I talk about it with my fan base, with my like subscriber and financial supporter base specifically. After I purchased the Rolodex, I actually put up a goal on my OnlyFans like, hey, I bought a business. If you want to support the fact that I bought this, it would be helpful if you helped pay for it because
Awesome.
it costs a chunk of money. And if you just give me that money, then I can use that for the business.
Love
And
it.
people did. Which again, I'm very thankful for my fan base. They're some really rad people. So it's
Yay.
a great community for everybody, fortunately.
Hells yes.
Uh, but yeah, I do talk about it. I do talk about it. I will talk about it more. Y'all are gonna get tired of it.
Never.
And then the other question, is there anything that surprised me?
For services.
Um, I want to say no because as somebody that has worked in entrepreneurial endeavors since I was in high school, like running small businesses and craft businesses and online web shops and all of that, there's not much that I haven't done or considered. I that's a ballsy way to put it, but you get me. Um, uh, I think the thing that has kind of made me go like, oh, okay, is that there's a lot of spiritual guidance offered through the Rolodex. And
Oh,
at first I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, that's okay, that's a choice. Yeah. And then I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, I know a lot of sex workers that read tarot cards. And I
yeah,
know a lot of sex workers that like getting their tarot read.
yes. And lots
Why
of
not?
like witchy vibes and like that kind of like spiritual kind of realm, at least in the dancer community for sure. Tons of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, oh, that was a great wake up for me to consider that the Rolodex is not just for making those like really cut and dry business interactions, but there's like the Rolodex can feed into your spirit and your soul as well and help you grow internally. So there's people that read tarot cards or do like Reiki healing. There are people that offer services where they they kind of like read about your business or your birth chart, and they create some business guidance for you based on like when you started doing sex work or based on when you were born, and help
Interesting.
like use that to guide your sex work business and brand. And so
Oh,
that was, yeah, like that's so fun. So I
that's
love that. It's not something that I would have considered, nor that I would have asked for, thought to seek out, but then seeing it before me, I was like, hell yeah, that's cool. So,
mhm.
not a surprise, but a really nice different perspective.
Totally. I was just gonna say, very, very different perspective, but also welcome too, because a lot of people, a lot of folks in our community are very spiritual and really take that stuff seriously. But it's really cool to see that interwoven with like a business kind of sense as well. So very cool. I didn't expect that answer. So this question is, how can writers such as myself, in brackets, male, comma, white, comma, cis, end bracket, approach sex workers without coming across as rude, forward, or suspicious? I find it hard to stand out from all the spam.
Uh-huh. That is a great question.
Hmm.
Um, okay, here's the thing. If if you feel like you fall into a demographic that may be uh, at a high risk of spam, or that maybe sex workers are going to think twice about potentially working with you, I would reconsider the concept of approaching sex workers versus are you approachable?
Mm.
Um, I know that selling yourself and putting yourself out there and going out to get the work is obviously one of the best things that we can do as independent business people in any industry. You got to put yourself out there. You got to ask like, "Hey, do you need a website? I can build that website." But if you're worried that you're going to come across as like some guy who's just harassing sex workers, like why are you worried that you would come across that way? And what are you doing to offset it?
Right.
So, can you repeat the question for me again? There was some
Yeah.
language.
For sure. So they person wrote like, how can writers such as myself, male, white, cis, approach sex workers without coming across as rude, forward, or suspicious? I find it hard to stand out from all the spam.
Hmm. Okay, so this person is a writer.
Hmm.
Um, what are you writing about sex workers that sex workers can read? What have you written for other sex workers or about sex work? Like I would kind of just flip that and say like what makes me a good person for sex workers to work with? Because in as much as you want to go out and you want to approach people, like they should be able to interact with you and feel like you are somebody that they too would want to approach. And I've recommended that to people that are starting in sex work and like starting their OnlyFans, and they're like, "How do I build a fan base?" It's like, well, you start to produce the content, yes, and you start to put yourself out there as a content producer, but just interact with people in a not business way.
Yeah, be
Like, don't
real. Be
Be
human.
yourself. Don't interact only in terms of, I'm a business person, this is what I do. Interact with other people on a personal level. Um, so if you want to work with a particular sex worker who has a blog and you would like to write for their blog, like maybe you want to write a guest article, interact with them and just like be part of their community and be part of our community. And we see it like the way the Twitter algorithm works, or Instagram to a degree. Instagram's less writing heavy, obviously, but
Hmm.
we see the interactions. We see the posts that other people like. We see the posts that are being replied to. Um, so just seeing how somebody is interacting with our community will go a long way towards showing us that you're not spam and that you're on the level for being somebody that is an ally and that is a safer resource for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like don't be so focused on the business. I can understand that, wanting to be focused on selling yourself and your services, but I would say pull it back and just be part of the community and be involved and be active. And then as you go, if you say to somebody like, "Oh, if you're looking for copywriting services, I can do that." And the first thing that that person's going to do is click over to your profile and they want to see what you do. Like, and if all you do is go around to sex worker Twitters and comment, "Oh, you can hire me. Oh, you can hire me." That's
Yeah.
like, that is spammy.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
funny.
the quality over quantity.
Yeah, no, actually, I would have to second that too. Because, like, for me, when I'm interacting with people, I just want to see, like, if they're like a real human being. And I wanted to see, like, what their personality is and see it from there and kind of judge to see if they would be a trustworthy person. Because sometimes on Twitter, there's just a lot of like labels and things on their profile, like sex worker ally and blah, blah, blah. And that to me is really performative. But how can you demonstrate that to me so I can actually trust you and see that there's actually some merit behind yourself? So what you were saying, Merrick, too, is just, yeah, pull it back a little bit and actually be involved and be immersed in the community, and then have the business part there. Have it there, but not in your face.
And I recognize like that doesn't feel like it's productive work a lot of the time, but it is. It is very productive work. Creating and establishing a presence in a community takes time and it takes effort. And
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get any foothold if all you do is sell. You have to be a person. So,
Yeah, agreed. And like what you're saying too earlier as well, with people that are just starting off in sex work, I see those accounts and they're all just about like join my OnlyFans and join my Fansly and stuff like that, but they're not interacting with anyone who's in the community. Like we have so many people at the touch of our like keyboard basically that you can interact with, but like you have to choose how you're interacting. But if you're just going to be interacting with yourself and just posting, no one's going to see that. So
yep.
FYI,
Yep.
got to build
And if
rapport
you
with
only
the community.
if you only interact with fan accounts, with reply guy accounts, and that's the only people that you're interacting with, those are the only people that are going to see you, and those are the only people that are going to follow you into your Twitter. And then
Yes.
you're going to feel bad because they're going to treat you like a vending machine. And that's not good.
No one
Like, we're
wants that.
not vending machines, we're people. So you got to, it's social media. It's social media. It's not LinkedIn.
Social.
Be social.
Exactly. Ugh, I have thoughts and sense about LinkedIn, but we're not going to go there right now. The last question, also from this person as well. What single piece of marketing is going to generate the most leads for our average cam sex worker? A great tip menu, an about me page, a newsletter. What should I, as a marketer, be focusing on offering?
That is an impossible question.
Yes, exactly.
Uh, there is no single piece of professional asset that you can create as either a sex worker or a marketer that will push you into that top 0.01%. There is no average sex worker. There
Mm-hmm.
is no average way to use even a single platform. Like if you look at OnlyFans, since it is the predominant platform, uh, there are 50 million ways to use OnlyFans. You can have a free page, you can have a page with pay-per-view, you can have a high tier page with no pay-per-view. You can post clips, you can post GIFs, you can post photos, you can post photo series. Like there are so many ways to do it. There's no single average sex worker. There's no right way to do it. Um there's no single asset.
No,
Unfortunately. Wouldn't it be great?
it would be too easy. There's no one size fits all. And even like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Merrick.
Your podcast would be a lot shorter and have a lot fewer episodes if that were the case. It would just be just like, do this. Peace.
And done.
And then we all succeed. Wonderful. Um, I
Yeah,
wish.
we all don't we all wish like there's literally no one size fits all. And as a marketer myself, even in my vanilla work, take out the sex worker part of that conversation. You need to treat each client as their own. And you can't just apply one sales tactic or one specific marketing technique for all of your clients. You have to judge on who their market is, who are they marketing to, what kind of business they are, like B2B, B2C, who are they? You need to take the time to get to know them and understand what their business is needing. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that's my tip for you, writer.
So in that, I would say that perhaps the best asset to cultivate is customer service. And
Mm-hmm.
it's as true for a sex worker as it would be for a freelancer who is providing those professional business services for sex work businesses. You have to have that customer service and interpersonal communication skill to understand where they're coming from as an individual and what their individual business needs are.
Mm-hmm. Well said. But also really great questions. Thank
Those
you
were
for
great.
writing in. Yeah, love that. We got spicy there. But Merrick, before we let you go, where can we find you?
Oh gosh, I'm on the internet. So obviously, Sex Work Rolodex is at swrolodex.com, and then I'm only active social media wise on Twitter and Instagram, and it's the same username, swrolodex. And then personally, I mean, if you want my fan sites, I got ManyVids, I got OnlyFans, I got Fansly. I am Merrick Monroe in most places, including Instagram. I love my Instagram, and then on Twitter, my main sex work account is Merrick After Dark. So it's after AFTR, no E on that because there was a character limit. Merrick After Dark on my spicy Twitter, and everything else is just Merrick Monroe.
Awesome. And all of those links are available in the show notes. If you haven't already clicked already, please go ahead and follow, do all the things, sign up for Rolodex. It's such a great resource, such a great platform. And I just really want to spread the word out because I think it's such an invaluable thing that and tool for people to use within our community. And I forgot to say earlier too, because a question I get a lot is like, I'm trying to gain some more skills outside of sex work or administrative skills. Like this could even be an opportunity if you're trying to transition out of sex work to really build on those skills or whatever it is that you want to offer. So,
Yeah, I
please
mean,
check
it's
out.
it's business, it's work. So if you're doing graphic design, you can say you're doing graphic design, and that is that's work that you're being paid for. If you're being paid for it, it can go on your resume. Like just using the actual language for what it is. You don't have to say you were accounting. You were doing graphic design, you were doing SEO optimization, and that is extremely viable resource on your resume.
Cannot say that any better. This conversation was excellent. America, I'm so glad to have brought you on today. Thank
I
you.
really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
It's
Yes,
been
thank
such a
you.
great conversation. I'm just so happy with what you've done with the platform, and I'm hoping that more people will hop on. for everyone else listening back at home or wherever you are, commuting or something on the plane or whatever you're doing, it's new episodes every single Sunday. So be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, review. If you're on Apple, review there. If you are on Spotify, you can rate 5 stars and follow. Do all the things. It just really helps with visibility and for people to access the show who might not have been hearing about it before. So do that, and we'll catch everyone in for another great episode next Sunday. Thank you so much, Merrick. It was great having you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, listeners.
Bye. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellanderama, and photography by Ian Gabrin.